Hey, Pong is the first successful commercial video game. It's an arcade video game that simulates table tennis. The game features two paddles, a ball, and a scoreboard. Now I know you're probably thinking, what's a video game? Video games are a form of entertainment given to us by ancient aliens, according to my cryptic dreams. You play Pong by first paying the machine. This will let you move the on-screen paddle up or down by rotating its control. Your objective is to prevent the ball from passing your paddle and hitting your side of the screen. This is not gonna work. I can't do this. I'm introverted. English is not my first language. My communication skills are subpar because I was raised in a cult and I have no friends. I could be doing this all wrong. And my voice sounds weird. You get a point if your opponent fails to block the ball and it reaches his or her side of the screen, and vice versa. The player that first reaches 11 points wins the game. Pong is the third commercially released video game, if you don't count personal computer games, because no one really keeps track of all of those, like the indie games of today. Computer space is the first, but no one really cares about computer space. The game is just too complicated for the common arcade goer. I mean, just look at the controls. 4 buttons? Tank controls? In space! No thanks. Now Pong just has a knob as its control. Something people that spend their time in amusement arcades would figure out. No need for a college degree. That's why we're talking about Pong right now and not computer space. Computer space could get its own episode one day, but it doesn't get to be the first in this channel for feng shui reasons. Magnavox Odyssey is the second and the first video game home console. And dare I say, the first Pong console. The Odyssey has a total of 28 games, 1 table tennis game that doesn't use a screen overlay, and 27 other games that uses screen overlays. Out of the 27, 15 are board games, 8 are sports games that are basically just table tennis variants, and 4 are light gun games. And by the way, apparently, light gun games were their own thing for decades before video games. You know what? Just watch a BGN's Magnavox Odyssey video for more information. This is a Pong Arcade video. To me, the Odyssey is just table tennis plus a bunch of filler games. Now, if you compare the Odyssey's table tennis game to Pong Arcade, the Odyssey's table tennis game looks like a home port of Pong Arcade with less resolution and with no sound and scoreboard. This is why Pong Arcade trumps the Magnavox Odyssey. Yeah, I guess we better talk about the history of the Magnavox Odyssey and Pong Arcade. So back in the 70s, there's this guy named Ralph Baer. He invented this video game device thing that you hook up to your TV. He calls it the brown box. He then got Magnavox, an electronics company, to give it a makeover, give it more features, and to mass produce it, and they call it the Magnavox Odyssey. The first video game home console, set for release in September of 1972. Now, something significant happened in May of 1972 when Magnavox was demonstrating the Odyssey to retailers and distributors. Enter Nolan Bushnell, who, along with some other guy that we're not gonna talk about today, founded CCG Engineering and invented computer space. Yeah, that computer space. Got to try the table tennis game of the Odyssey. He later then decided to make an arcade version of table tennis, also known as ping pong. So he assigned Alan Alcorn, a newly hired engineer, to develop that ping pong arcade video game. Incidentally, in June of 1972, CCG had to change their name to Atari because apparently, the name CCG was already taken. In August of 1972, Alan completed the Pong Arcade prototype, and in September of 1972, the Odyssey was released just as planned and received okay success. But when Pong was released in November of 1972, it was very successful. Like, really successful. It made way more money than the Odyssey. Everyone wants to spend their cash on Pong Arcade. All around, Pong machines would stop working for being too full. Undoubtedly, Pong Arcade became the very first commercially successful video game. Now, Magnavox didn't like that one bit. Are you still with me? Oh yeah, right. How to enjoy Pong Arcade. If you and a friend found yourselves in an arcade one day and that place has a Pong machine that's not just there for display, yeah, just play it. You can post it on social media for, real life video game achievements. Yay! Played the very first successful video game, or something like that. Yeah, these days, you play Pong Arcade for that kind of enjoyment. Oh, right. You need a friend with you to play this. Because this game doesn't have an enemy algorithm. Yeah, I'm not gonna call it an AI. I don't think a paddle or an algorithm that follows an object on a screen can steal someone's job. Wait, wasn't there a time when scientists were training homing pigeons to follow an object on a screen? so that they can be used on homing missiles? Oh no, they've been stealing jobs since the very beginning. Oh my god, not again. Anyway, I'm gonna rank this above, below. Yeah, this is the first video game in this channel. Ha, I'm so stupid. Why am I still alive? Now, if you can't find an available Pong Arcade near you, you can always just develop your own Pong game. If you're into that kind of thing. I know, right? Some people are weird. Making video games. And that's my Pong Arcade review. Yeah, it sucks, I know. It's my first video. I'll get better at this. This video is part of my 12 video games of 1980 series. Why 12? Why 1980? I'll explain in a later episode. Yeah, that's it. Before you go, can you please like this video? I have this need to be liked. Thanks. You can also share this video with your friends if you think they'll like it. Please leave a comment and subscribe so that YouTube will recommend you my next video. Yeah, bye. Oh, you're still here. Wanna develop a generic tennis video game? Let's do this.
Step
No, wait. If you don't want to do the whole
23.
steps for developing a tennis game, you can download a copy of the compiled game and the source code on my Discord, on my Patreon. Link in the description. Okay, let's go.
Step 1.
Pick a programming language. If you Google the most popular programming language of
2022.
yes, last year, the top 3 you'll probably get are C++, Java, and the most popular programming language, Python. So we'll use Python, right? Because it's the most popular? No. Python is the most popular because it's the easiest programming language to learn and write. But for simplicity's sake, let's just say it's very slow. You don't want a slow running game. The fastest programming language in our list is C++. So yeah, we'll use C++, right? Because it's the fastest. No, C++ is the fastest, but it's also the hardest to learn and write. You don't want to take forever developing a simple game. We're just gonna use Java. It's our Goldilocks zone. I personally believe that Java is the best programming language for beginners. And if you think Java still takes too much time to learn, switch to Python. Or if you think Java is not fast enough, switch to C++. Yeah, we're gonna use Java in this channel. Okay, let's continue.
Step 2.
Be born on Earth as a human. Well, better luck next time.
Step 3.
Learn to talk. Just watch some YouTube tutorials.
Step 4.
Learn to read. Just watch some YouTube tutorials.
Step 5.
Install Java. Just watch some... No, wait. This step is kind of complicated. So let's discuss this for a bit. Because I think if you're going to use Java, you should know all of this. Yeah, this is a can of worms. It'll take forever to fully explain this, so I'm just not gonna. You can always just Google the ones that you want to learn more about later. I'm just not gonna explain everything here to save time. I tried to rewrite this step to shorten it multiple times, but I just can't. It's impossible for me. I also have this machine elves analogy explaining JDK, JRE, and JVM that I'm just gonna scrap. You use the JRE and JVM when you run a Java application. And you use the JDK when you compile your code. Yeah, I'm not gonna explain that thoroughly. Just trust me, okay? Now let's install Java. If you Google Java download and Java development download as of the making of this video, the Oracle landing pages you'll probably get are for Java 8 JRE, Java 17 JDK LTS, and Java 21 JDK LTS. Yeah, you don't want any of this. What you want is Java 17 Open JDK LTS. Again, there's no time to explain. We have a tennis game to develop, chop chop. Google Eclipse Tamarin JDK 17 download. Go to adoption.net, then download and install the correct version of Tamarin on your machine, so that you can run and compile Java applications on your computer. Now, we want an IDE, so that we don't have to write our code in Notepad. So Google Eclipse IDE download. Go to eclipse.org, then download and install the correct version of Eclipse IDE on your machine. But why Eclipse? Well, Eclipse is one of the most popular Java IDE in Stack Overflow. You can't go wrong with Eclipse. Now, I know a few of you might be thinking, what about the Encabulator emulator? No, we don't need to install that right now. Trust me. Trust me. Now that we have our JDK and IDE, we can now move on to the next step.
Step 6.
Learn to code in Java. Just watch some YouTube tutorials. I recommend the New Boston's Java Beginner Programming Tutorials series. It's really funny, which, I believe, is helpful while studying the boring basics.
Step 7.
Learn to code simple games in Java without using any game libraries. Again, just watch some YouTube tutorials. I recommend Cherno's Java's tutorial series. It's a long series, informative, but sometimes boring. Real Touch GML. He has a bunch of Java tutorial series in his channel. He makes it look so easy, which might be dispiriting if you can't recreate his examples. I recommend his Java Game Programming Wizard course, if you only have time to watch one of his series. And Codemer's new Beginner 2D Game Programming. I think this tutorial series is very well done, for beginners. Could be the best on YouTube. Now you might say, but isn't this video that I'm watching right now
Step 7.
developing a tennis game in Java? A simple game in Java? No.
Step 8.
Realize that games written in pure Java puts all the burden on the CPU and doesn't utilize the GPU, which is not the optimal way to develop video games. After all, ever since the dawn of video game development, developers have been using a separate chip for video game graphics. So regret that you listen to some guy on the internet and wallow in your sorrow for a while. Just watch some YouTube videos that will put you in that mood.
Step 9.
Accept that you need to use a game library for Java game development so that you can utilize the GPU. Just watch some YouTube videos that will put you in that mood.
Step 10.
Use a Java game library. But what Java game library, I hear me ask? Let's just pick the most popular Java game library in Stack Overflow, libGDX. libGDX uses OpenGL, which interacts with the GPU. libGDX can do this because it's actually based on LWJGL, a wrapper for OpenGL, a low-level API for graphics programming. Now, we don't want to use LWJGL for the same reason that we don't want to use C++. It can be faster, yes, but because it's just a wrapper for a low-level API, it's also hard to learn and write. So yeah, we'll use libGDX. Now, Google libGDX, go to libgdx.com, and download gdx-setup.jar.
Step 11.
Learn to code Java games with libGDX. The gdx-setup.jar file is a setup tool that will let you create new Java projects with the libGDX library pre-added. All you have to do now is just learn how to code with libGDX. Now, the best way to learn libGDX is by reading libGDX's documentation on the official website. I know, right? Who does that? If reading documentations is your thing, yeah, read them all in one go, you lunatic. Or, you can just read about the specific features that you need as you code along, like a normal person. It's your call. But for now, all you really need to do is just read the setup instructions and recreate the 3 example games in the documentation. The simple game, the extended simple game, and Tan's breakout game. With Tan's breakout game being more like a test than a tutorial. Now, you could watch those long libGDX video game development tutorials on YouTube. But if you ask me, that's just a waste of time. Because you already got the skills that they might provide from the 3 tutorials in
Step 7.
and the 3 example games in libGDX's documentation. Besides, the video you're watching right now is kinda like one of them, so yeah, just watch my videos for your libGDX video game development tutorial picks, okay? Thanks. But tutorial series that focus on specific libGDX features are a different story. Those are actually gold. I recommend LeLeLe's tutorials. I know, he's a horse, but his tutorial series is really good. I found myself randomly watching some of his videos back when I'm just starting with libGDX. Anyway, when you're done with all of that, congratulations. You just completed the prologue steps. We can now move on to the actual tennis video game development. Yay!
Step 12.
Generate a new game using the gdx-setup.jar file. I'm gonna name this game LeLeLe, which stands for the Legend of the Legendary Legends. It will make sense in future episodes. And select Android, iOS, and HTML because we're just gonna focus on desktop game development in this channel to keep things simple. Select all of the official extensions so that we don't have to manually add them in later episodes. And ignore the third-party extensions for now. Now, in pure Java game development, to create a blank level, you first need to create God, then the fabric of time and space, then the universe, then a portal to that universe, and then, and only then, you create a game level. But in libGDX, you just do this.
クリック。
Import the generated project to Eclipse, and there you go, a blank game level. But what's this? An error message? Okay, so I'm recording this on my Linux Mint 21 machine, and I get a similar error message on my Windows 10 machine a few months ago that doesn't come up anymore. So it's either the government is spying on me, or something just needs to update automatically. I don't know. If you know what's really happening here, please leave it in the comment section. But it doesn't seem to break anything, so let's just ignore it.
Step 13.
Edit the game level. gdx-setup.jar's default level is 640 by 480. Now, according to the internet, Pong Arcade's resolution is 858 by 525. 525p? That's too big. I don't want that. That doesn't scream retro at all. Pong from Atari 2600's Video Olympics is 160 by 192, and the Magnavox Odyssey is also 160 by 192. That can't be right, because that would mean there was no resolution increase between the first and second generation of video game consoles. I'm just gonna make my game 160 by 120 to comply with my headcanon that the first gen has worse resolution than the second gen.
New assets アップデートクラス
And there you go, a 160 by 120 level with 4 times scaling.
Step 14
Create the ball that flies from the center of the screen to the left or right, and can bounce from the top and bottom edges. Yes, the ball is the first entity that will create for this game, not the player paddle. Because I think it's better if there's already a game when you put your character in the game, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is, you don't want to put your character in an empty world. That's just boring. Also, we're not gonna use the Ashley Entity Framework in this episode to keep things short and simple. But to be honest, I haven't studied Ashley. I probably should have, but I didn't, because I'm just making a simple tennis game. So yeah, I'm just gonna write my own for now.
New assets New クラスアップデートクラス
And there you go, a moving ball.
Step 15
Create the scoreboards that shows up for a few seconds after the ball leaves the screen. Now, scoreboards has numbers on them. So let's just use libGDX's scene2d.ui and its default skin for that. You can find the default skin in scene2d.ui's wiki page in libGDX's website.
New assets New クラスアップデートクラス
And there you go, the scoreboards.
Step 16
Create the enemy paddle that will try to block the ball half of the time. Also, if the ball hits its edges or its center, it alters the y direction of the ball a little bit. And yes, it's a one-player game, because you don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
New assets New クラスアップデートクラス
And there you go, the enemy paddle.
Step 17
Create the player paddle that can be controlled by the keyboard's up and down keys, for now. And like the enemy paddle, if the ball hits its edges or its center, it alters the y direction of the ball a little bit.
New assets New クラスアップデートクラス
I know, right? Another check collision method? Hey, it just works. We'll try to make a universal check collision method or class in the future, when we add a level with a horizontal paddle in it. But for now, let's just go with this.
アップデートクラス
And there you go, the player paddle.
Step 18
Create a method that will hide the mouse if it's on top of the game. Yeah, I noticed the mouse is always in the way while making this game. It's really annoying, so let's just hide it whenever it's motionless on top of the game. And I'm not planning to use mouse controls in this channel anyway, so it's best to just do this now.
アップデートクラス
And there you go, no more mouse cursor. And it's back when I move my mouse.
Step 19
Add sound effects in the game. Sound. I really wish I could use procedurally generated audio to keep the file size of the game really small, like with the 4th generation video game consoles and older. You know, with chiptones. But alas, there are no chiptone and Java tutorials on YouTube. Well, chiptone sound and music production were never mainstream anyway. But I did try. I have this class that can generate the sound of the ball hitting a paddle. I can edit it to make it sound like a ball hitting a wall instead. But that's the limit of my chiptone abilities. I don't know how to generate the sound of a sword hitting an armor, or a punch to the face, or a running horse. But I can do this, and this, and this. Yeah, I guess StreamOJ is the only option for me. I get less disk space, yes, but I do get more CPU headroom. Yes, chiptune audio requires more processing power than stream audio. But I digress.
New assets. アップデートクラス。
And there you go, sound effects. And look at that, no more error message. It's a miracle. Yeah, no, I reinstalled Eclipse IDE. The old installation is from Linux Mint Software Manager, which have that issue. This new installation is from Eclipse's website. The takeaway here is don't expect applications from the software manager to work flawlessly. You should remember that if you're planning to use Linux Mint.
Step 20.
Use libGDX screens in preparation for the attract mode screen. Attract mode, you know, the animation or gameplay that you see when an arcade machine is unoccupied. Now, I know some of you might say that I should have done this at the very beginning, but we don't need screens at that time. And I believe this is the best time to introduce screens. So yeah, to use libGDX screens, we're gonna extend our main class to game, instead of the default application adapter. And then, we're gonna move the tennis level from the main class to its own class.
New クラス。アップデートクラス。
And there you go. Well, nothing really changed in the game because we just move our codes around. But now, we have our main class calling the tennis world screen. We want our main class to call the attract mode screen when we start the game. So let's do that.
Step 21.
Create the attract mode screen. It must have the title, LeLeLe, and the instructions to start the game. And it also must have a ball bouncing around in the background, just like in the original Pong Arcade. I mean tennis. Generic tennis video game.
New assets.
I'm ready for more. Come on, let's go. Huh? I like that, huh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, my shoulder. No, no.
New クラス。アップデートクラス。
I'm ready for more.
And there you go, the attract mode screen. The game now starts from the attract mode screen. And when a player gets 12 points, it goes back to the attract mode screen.
Step 22.
Add the window icon. My Linux Mint machine doesn't display window icons. I think it's the theme that I'm using. And no, I'm not gonna change my current theme. I like this theme. The window icon does shows up on Windows, so yeah.
New assets. アップデートクラス。
And there you go, the window icon. Just imagine this is running on Windows 10. Oh, that's it. We're done coding. If you found something in the code that could be done better, please leave it in the comment section. And remember, I'm not some high-level video game developer. I'm just some guy who learned Java mostly through YouTube videos. So if I can do it, so can you.
Step 23.
Compile the game. I'm probably using the wrong terminology here, but libGDX comes with its own compiler inside the projects folder. gradlew for Linux and macOS, and gradlew.bat for Windows. You're probably using Windows, so run this in command prompt to generate the Java archive file. The generated file will be in the desktop, build, libs folder. Put this file anywhere you want. Rename this file anything you want. And that's it. We have a video game. A generic tennis video game in Java that works on Windows, macOS, and Linux. Again, the game and the source code is on my Discord, on my Patreon. Link in the description. And if you download the game, please leave a testimonial in the comment section. Thanks, bye. You're still here. Oh, you're probably thinking, Can my gaming PC run this beast of a game? Well, to answer that, let me show you something. This is XXX underscore benchmarker mark 1 underscore XXX. It's a refurbished Sandy Bridge desktop computer from 2011. And yeah, we'll go back to that. This computer comes with a G645, but we're not gonna use that. A GeForce GT610, we're not gonna use that either. 2 sticks of 4 GB of RAM that can go up to 1600 MHz, but will only run at 1067 MHz because that's the fastest the CPU can handle. And a 320 GB hard disk drive that can go up to 7200 RPM. Now, let's talk about this thing right here. This is a Celeron G440. And get this, it's a 1-core, 1-thread desktop CPU with integrated graphics. It's one of a kind. It's the poopiest, can I say poopiest? Poopiest socketed desktop CPU with integrated graphics in the world. And it's going to be the CPU and GPU of Benchmarker Mark 1. And here it is, Benchmarker Mark 1, with a fully updated Linux Mint 21.2 and firewall enabled. Why is the firewall off by default? Here's the correct specs, by the way. Surprisingly, the iGPU can actually display 1920 by 1080p at 60 FPS in Linux Mint. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And while on the subject, do you know that you might be watching this video in 1080p at 60 FPS right now? Yes, this is a 60 FPS stick figure slideshow video, consuming twice the bandwidth it needs. I hope you have unlimited data. I also installed MangoHood and GoBerLe, which is a good example of why people say using Linux is a pain. In Mint, you first need to install MangoHood before GoBerLe. But of course, you can't just install the software manager version of MangoHood. And you can't even sudo apt install MangoHood in the terminal. Instead, you have to download MangoHood source code and compile that source code. And then install that version of MangoHood, the one that you just compiled. Otherwise, MangoHood won't work with GoBerLe. Now, you can't just compile MangoHood, you have to install a bunch of development tools first. Only then you can compile and install MangoHood, and only then you should install GoBerLe from the terminal for the whole thing to properly work. Well, at least it's free. Now, can this machine run LeLeLe? Let's find out. LeLeLe version 1.0 versus Benchmarker Mark 1. Here we go! Yeah, it's just a photo of the game running. I can't use OBS on this because it would probably melt the G440. Even if I just use print screen, it adds around 10% more CPU usage. Yeah, poopy CPU. I don't have a 1080p 60fps camera or a capture card computer setup. I'm poor, gumena sorry. All I have for a camera is this Acer Android phone from 2014. And Acer doesn't even make phones anymore. Their last phone was from 2016. Anyway, so here it is. The screenshot of the game's performance thanks to MangoHood. As you can see, we can reach 60 FPS with a CPU load of around 30%. The VRAM, RAM, and HDD don't seem to have any bearing on the benchmarking, so we're just not gonna include those in the next video. But the GPU having 0% load is kinda odd. It's either MangoHood is not familiar with Sandy Bridge integrated GPUs, or I just need to do more tinkering for MangoHood to see G440's quote-unquote Intel HD graphics. I don't know. If you know, please leave it in the comment section. Thanks. So yeah, it runs. Now, if the CPU load surpasses 92%, that's the time we're gonna upgrade to XXX underscore benchmarker mark 2 underscore XXX. Make sure that you don't miss that when it happens in the future. But for now, I can confidently say that our generic tennis game can run on a 1-core, 1-thread computer. And if your gaming PC has more than 1 core and 1 thread, you probably can run this too. Yeah, end of video.